like to see.
And welcome back to coverage of Grand Prix San Antonio here from Texas. My name is Marshall Sutcliffe. I'm in the booth with Jacob Van Lunen, and our last feature match features two undefeated players. I don't know how many we have here.
We have
Four undefeateds, and these are two of them, Tyler Little or Lytle. Go with Lytle on this one. We'll go with Lytle. Tyler Lytle on the left-hand side versus Will Craddock on the right-hand side, and Will, at currently undefeated, is leading off with, it looks like, a grave crawler, and it's going to be a Rakdos Guildgate for Tyler.
Ooh, so
Potential mirror match here.
look at this. Two Rakdos decks facing off in the 8-0 match.
Yeah, you know, Jake, we talked in the beginning of the day about how the format had shifted significantly towards aggro, and I'm not shocked to see this.
Neither am I. I mean, this deck has performed better than any other deck in the premier events and daily events this week. We can be pretty confident we're going to be seeing a lot of this deck in the very near future. And the pros' distaste for this type of strategy, their ability to just continue to write it off and try to jam Four Sphinx's Revelations into everything.
Yeah.
That's probably lending this deck a little bit of a helping hand right now.
All right, we can see our fancy graphic there. It says Cavern of Souls has named Zombie. He cast the Knight of Infamy off of it and attacked for 3 thanks to the Exalted trigger from the Knight. And now we're back on Tyler's turn, and he's under a lot of pressure. I see he's got a Geralf's Messenger in hand. I can't see the rest. He's got a full grip. A land would be a good start. He's giving it what looks like a prolonged thumbs up here.
He's trying to, in these types of matches, you need to maximize damage output, but at the same time, you need to be taking into consideration the amount of damage you're going to be dealing yourself and the amount of damage you're going to be allowing your opponent to deal you. So you really just have to think about everything in terms of like a grand scheme clock, just like just a big math equation.
And, he does play a Knight of Infamy here. You know, one of the things that you see pretty often as well are that there's cards in each of these matchups that really throw that balance off. Cards like Mark of Mutiny are huge swings in damage in the wrong direction if you're having it played against you. All right, so he Pillar of Flames away the Knight of Infamy and gets in for 4. He gets in for 1 extra damage doing this. I kind of assumed he was going to just offer up the Gravecrawler for tradesies because it seems like a pretty bad trade for Tyler, but maybe he doesn't have a zombie to follow up. Tyler plays 2 creatures which can't currently block.
But the Pillar also minimizes the amount of damage he's going to be taking.
Yeah, so in your math equation, that pluses him a little bit.
The 2-power Exalted guy getting to swing next turn, knowing that there's nothing with haste that's going to be played out of the black-red deck with 3 lands.
Yep.
You're not going to get attacked the next turn. You did play a Blood Crypt untapped.
And it looks like Will just decides to attack with both guys again. Tyler has no blockers and is forced to take the 4 damage, dropping him to 9. Tyler does have a blocker now with the Diregraph Ghoul. Gravecrawler, of course, cannot block.
He can attack, though, and he will be attacking. I imagine we're going to see a Geralf's Messenger here.
Is his Cavern on Zombie, too?
I believe so, yes.
But for both of them? They're both on Zombie.
Oh, Knight of Infamy. All right, so perhaps a Pillar of Flame now for Tyler Little.
It could be.
Maybe a Victim of Night. Ooh,
wow, he takes
7.
2 from his Blood Crypt. This is... So what does he have here if he passes a turn back?
Victim of Night.
Victim of Night, okay. Victim of Night does hit Knight of Infamy.
It is a human.
It's Human Knight. And we're going to see Searing Spear on end step is going to drop Tyler down to 4. Or 7. 4, there we go. And Will doesn't have to do a lot more work to finish off Tyler here.
No, he does not.
Will is probably thinking about what it is that Tyler's representing here, and really Victim of Night is the only thing I can think of, too.
Yeah, Searing Spear or Victim of Night.
Does it see a lot of play in these lists, Victim?
Yeah, usually
A couple of them?
they have maybe one main, one on the board.
Okay.
Sometimes just one on the board.
So it isn't out of left field from Will's perspective that Tyler could have a Victim of Night. So he's just got to figure out how he changes his attack here. If he just attacks with a Gravecrawler, well,
Tyler's going to be forced to block it.
Tyler will have to block it, but also Tyler can blow up the knight pre-combat. All right, it looks like Will just says, you know what, I'm not going to attack at all.
I mean, that's wrong. Gravecaller can't block.
Right.
There's absolutely no reason not to send the red zone at every single opportunity. If you're not blocking with something, it needs to be attacking unless it's just a throwaway attack.
Yeah.
And that would not have been a throwaway attack.
Right. He would have traded off for one of 2 creatures there. So yeah.
I mean, the only scenario I can think of where you might not want to do that is if he has a Hell Rider.
Okay.
So he just wants to maximize the Hell Rider.
And that is interesting because he did miss his land drop here.
Maybe that's it.
Yep. All right, it looks like he's got another Searing Spear, though. He's tapping 2 mana on end step here. Or he could also have his own Victim of Night. What is... I guess he's tapped it.
I'm actually surprised Tyler didn't... What? Tyler didn't use the Victim of Night either, so Tyler...
he just didn't cast it at all?
No, didn't. Decided to...
Just didn't want to use
wait
up
on
his
it,
mana?
which is fine. I mean, if
he has the mana to cast
Thrall's
the
Hell
Messenger,
Rider,
which
that's
he did.
actually awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Like Tyler was really smart waiting on that.
Yeah, he had the mana to play to be patient, and he's going to do that. And it looks like a Searing Spear. No, it is a Victim of Night. It's going to take out that Knight of Infamy. Yep. But Tyler did get an extra damage because Will waited on that.
Yep.
All right, there's the 4th land. He's going to take 2. It's going to drop him to 8. If he moves all in here, it does look like the Hell Rider's coming, so I think you were right, Jake. No, it's not a Hell Rider. It's a Falconwrath Aristocrat,
Way better.
Which is lethal.
Yep.
Yeah, that's just going to be game. He says Victim of Night it, but unfortunately not only can it not be targeted by that spell, also the Falconwrath Aristocrat can just become indestructible, which is, I guess, another reason to leave Gravecaller around. It's a stretch maybe, but having fodder for
that's
it.
That's fine.
Yeah. All right, so we get to see
his opponent
Tyler.
Is at 4.
Uh-huh.
He does have a 4-power guy in play. There's really nothing that his opponent can do to gain life in the format.
Although we did just see the first 4 cards off of Tyler Lytle's sideboard do gain him life occasionally.
Oh, yes. The Nighthawks?
The Nighthawks.
Who won that one?
Vampire Nighthawk's pretty good.
Yeah, this is actually a really interesting mirror. I was watching, I think I was watching Cedric's stream or something, and he was trying to figure out the mirror. And it's really tough. He played 3 Nighthawks in a game in the mirror and just lost. Just lost. And he tried to have his deck geared towards the mirror and just lost. And I remember he was getting frustrated because he's like, I just can't beat this. I can't figure out what's important in this mirror. Like, is he just supposed to go faster than the other guy? Are you supposed to try to play the control route? It's actually a pretty tough nut to crack here.
Yeah, I think the correct answer is that you need to just be as aggressive as possible. The decks are so bad at blocking.
Uh-huh. Wanted to thank Chris Lansdale for the correction on the rights of flourishing. He had tweeted at me that one, and I'm glad we got that in quickly.
Yeah,
also,
glad we got that
not that it was
out for everybody.
Important, but
yeah, I strongly recommend that if it was legal, you don't play it.
Yeah.
Pro tip.
Another thing I wanted to mention before we get started in what could be the last game of the day here is next weekend. It's GP Lisbon. And that is going to be covered by Big Z, Matai Zadelkai, and Zeman Gutsen. So 2 awesome commentators over there from our European coverage team. So make sure you check that out next weekend. I'm looking forward to watching some
Portugal,
of that coverage.
Hanging out.
Yep.
Beautiful place.
It's the Texas of Europe. No, that's completely untrue. It sounded kind of funny, but...
I don't think there is a Texas of Europe.
No, they don't have Texas.
I think Texas is the only Texas.
Maybe Bayern. No, probably not that either. All right, looks like some text messages may be incoming.
Oh, he's excited.
I don't know.
Trying to get my hand on
He's going to tell all his
parents
friends.
here.
It's on camera. It's good.
Oh, wow. So I'm getting a tweet
Oh,
from
wow.
Captain Top Deck here, and this is actually really interesting. So he says Will and Tyler are best friends from the same shop in Oklahoma. They share their collection. You know, a lot of people do that so that they can get enough cards to play in the tournaments that they want, and he thinks that they're on the exact same 75. So undoubtedly, these two have tested against each other. They know each other's tendencies.
Yeah, this is interesting.
This is
They probably played this exact matchup, this mirror, the whole way here.
The whole way here, and before, and on top of it, man, if I'm playing against my best friend in the feature match area,
that's the coolest thing
I
ever.
want no, it's not. I want to win so bad.
Oh, obviously.
Like, can you imagine? Whoever wins
be
this gets to brag the entire way home.
Mm-hmm.
The whole car ride or plane or however they got here is just going to be. If only you won round 9 in day 1, maybe you could have topped. You know, and these guys are
hopefully
in
they didn't take a
excellent
two-person
position,
bike because that's going to be miserable.
For those of you just joining, I'm Marshall Sutcliffe, and this is Jacob Van Lunen with me in the booth. We are in the last round of Swiss here in day 1 from Grand Prix San Antonio. We have Will Craddock on the right side versus Tyler Lytle on the left side, and these guys are playing basically the same 75 is what we're told, and they're also best friends. So,
and they're also both 8-0.
And they're both 8-0.
So maybe this deck's really good.
This is a very dreamy scenario for these two guys. This was really awesome, I think.
You're keeping?
Tyler's got an interesting hand here. He's on the play. He has a 1-lander, but basically every card in his hand costs 1, and he's got a lot of good spot removal spells. I would not dislike Tyler's keep if he chose to keep this, but I would understand if he had chosen to mulligan.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we're taking a look right now at the two players' lists. Are they looking pretty similar so far?
Their main decks are identical.
Okay, so the main decks so far are exactly the same. Let's see if any of them tried to one-up each other on the sideboard plan.
And the sideboard is 1 card different.
Okay, so
Tyler has an extra Nighthawk.
Okay, so he has the full 4.
He has the full 4. Will has an extra Cremate.
Okay, so those are actually probably all
Which are
coming
also
in here.
coming in.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
yeah. Will has 3 Nighthawks. Tyler has 4 Nighthawks. Will has 3 Cremates. Tyler has 2 Cremates.
Looks like Will has decided to audible his sideboard here. Maybe just a broken sleeve. That's just a broken sleeve. Yeah, he actually already mulliganed, so he can't do that. Oh, man. The bragging rights match for undefeated on day 1 here at Grand Prix San Antonio between two best friends. This rivalry, I'm telling you. I mean, this is like, you could get actual years of bragging rights out of this match.
Oh, yeah. This is like the best.
Yeah. This is when you look back when you're 50 and you go, hey, Will, remember that one time when I beat you on the cameras for undefeated on day 1? And he just has to like shake his head and put
like
up
over
with it.
5,000 people were watching it.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you remember when that happened?
I remember when that happened.
I needed you to do this when you were on the play next year.
Sometimes when I'm feeling sad, I think about that time that I beat you on camera in front of 5,000 people.
That's
to go
why,
undefeated on day 1
and that's
at the
why
Grand
you're
Prix.
such a good friend.
I'll never forget that.
I love it.
That's why I want you to be the best man at my wedding.
All right, so we're getting some very sufficient randomization here from Will. Not taking any chances on...
Well, he ripped a sleeve.
yeah, so he had to, redo the whole thing. So Sam Davis, boy hero from Twitter, says that he knows. He says, knowing Tyler and Will, I'm sure bragging will be had. He followed that up with 100%. So this is definitely one of those, which is great. It makes it even better. It looks like he's down to 5 here. Will is up a game. And it's a guild gate to lead things off for Tyler. Perhaps not the ideal start. I'm not sure. It might be a really good start for his deck because sometimes you're a little slower post-board. We see a Diregraph Ghoul for Will Craddock on turn 1 and also one from Tyler Lytle on his turn 2. Both of Tyler's lands have come into play tapped this game, and Will's does not, but what does he want to do with this mana? He's deciding. He's going to Pillar of Flame the Diregraph Ghoul, and he's going to follow up with a Gravecrawler. So I suspect that we're going to see a Nighthawk here, but there's probably a lot of different lines that these players could take. He could Pillar away something.
Yeah, playing a bunch of spot removal might be right here because... Oh, okay. I like that play a lot.
Okay, so he gets to rebuild with double Gravecrawler, neither of which can block, but he does take out the Gravecrawler of Will Craddock, and Will plays a Knight of Infamy and then attacks in for 3 damage. So coming back here to Tyler Lytle.
It's a miracle.
He miracles a Bonfire. That is going to wipe the board. He's going to bash in there for 4. Will also took 2 damage from the Bonfire. It's going to drop him down to 14, and this could be over very, very quickly, although we do see a Pillar of Flame taking out a second Gravecrawler for Tyler Lytle, and he's just going to battle for 2 here. He's going to play a Geralf's Messenger. That Bonfire is insane. And now we have Geralf's Messenger laying on tons of heat. He doesn't even want to play that Nighthawk. It's too slow.
And something Tyler did, Tyler really slow-rolled the pillars. He only wanted to use those pillars on Gravecrawlers and Geralf's Messengers, whereas Will was very quick to just pillar anything he saw. Maybe that's telling of how you're supposed to play this match on the play and or on the draw.
It could be also Will's gone down to, 5 cards here, and it looks like he's lost the second game, so we are going to have the decider in the best friend battle here. But, when you go to 5, sometimes it's just like clear away a couple of guys and keep beating down and hope they don't have anything. But, it's certainly not the best.
But there's definitely something to be said for that either on the play or the draw. If you're on the play and you get to be aggressive, those pillars, you really kind of can save them for things like Messenger and or Gravecrawler. If you're on the draw, you kind of need to pillar the first thing you can pillar.
Okay.
If you don't have another creature to play. Because you can't get behind in that race.
No, you can't.
And also you have more cards. So you playing for those 1-for-1s, that's good for you.
It benefits you, yeah. Now, one of the things that we do see here is that both of them seem to be very concerned with Gravecrawlers. And is that because they can't really block a Gravecrawler that well? Like, their Gravecrawlers don't block their other Gravecrawlers, and even Geralf's Messenger doesn't really block it that well?
It's just 2 damage every turn forever, basically, in this matchup.
Oop. All right, so we are now down to the last game of day 1 here from San Antonio. And this is a big one. This is to be undefeated. There's one other undefeated player in the field. His name is David Gomez. He just won 2-0. Hey, Rusty, do we know what deck he's playing? Is this his deck right here? Is this the one? Yeah, it is. Okay. He's playing green-white aggro.
Nice.
So there's a green-white aggro deck that is now 9-0 on day 1, and there's going to be a red-black zombies aggro deck that is also going to be undefeated. So, Jake, coming into this, we talked about how the format has turned very aggressive on us all of a sudden, and how the aggressive decks seem to be doing the best on Magic Online during the daily events and premier events that you and I like to browse. Here we go.
Here we go again.
2 undefeated decks are both
Last
aggressive.
Weekend in Charleston, do you want to know the 2 undefeated decks were on day 1?
What were they?
A green-white aggro deck and a Rakdos deck.
Is that right?
Yep.
Wow. And Rakdos eventually took it down. Okay, yeah. So.
And John Bolding, one of the undefeateds on day 1, won the tournament.
He did.
He chewed his way to the top in Charleston.
I do love that.
But some great matches there. I got to watch both those players do some written coverage. If you guys want to go back and read any of those, once we're done doing coverage for today.
Yeah, you can, Steve Sadin and yourself both covering text in Charleston.
A really exciting tournament there, and that was really where this black black-red mid-range deck that has seen some success on Magic Online. John Bolding had an interesting list, and it's very similar to the list we're seeing from both of these players right now. Both these players have Zealous Conscripts.
Yeah, see, those type of cards just make that math equation that you were talking about earlier where you're like, how much can I deal versus how much am I taking? It just changes that so much.
Breaks it wide open.
Yeah, it really does, especially Zealous Conscripts. That's really the one because it has haste, and the thing that you grab gets haste, or you get something that they now can't block with that you're now attacking with, and that's such a huge swing. Mark of Mutiny has a similar effect on the game, but less so than Conscripts, especially for for the full 5 mana, it turns out you get a little more. All right, here we go. Taking a look at our first 7 for Tyler Lytle and Will Craddock. These guys, for those of you that are just joining us here for the last round of Swiss here in day 1 of Grand Prix San Antonio, these guys are best friends. They drove here together from Oklahoma. They share cards, and they're both on they're on 74 of the same 75 same cards and the same main deck as each other. And I'm told that bragging rights are going to be a big factor here. They're both playing to be one of 2 people undefeated on day 1 here, and they're also playing on camera in front of everybody at home watching for bragging rights on who wins this match. So it looks like a tough decision here. For Tyler, I believe Will has already kept. He's got his hand on his mouth. This is he keeps looking at it over and over. The cards don't seem to be changing for him. So,
yeah, I like to think that Tyler is the more pensive, thoughtful of the two, where Will is kind of the loose cannon, the crazy and never know what to expect type. It's just based on handwriting alone. Tyler, very clean.
Yeah,
very clean handwriting.
All right, so they have a similar start to each other, with both their first play of the games being Diagraph Ghouls, although one of them was on turn 1 and one of them was on turn 2. And Tyler adds yet another Diagraph Ghoul to his board. He's going to take 2 from Will's Diagraph Ghoul. I wonder if you consider blocking there? No, it's probably just going to get pillared anyway, right? And he has a Geralf's Messenger. All right, that makes a lot more sense on the attack now, as Tyler Lytle's going to fall to 16. Will sitting at 18, but he's wide open here. Pillar of Flame is going to take out the Geralf's Messenger. He's going to battle for 4. That's going to drop Will down to 14. Fast action here with these red-black decks. He's going to play his 3rd Diagraph Ghoul. He's going to play a Cavern of Souls. What is he going to name? Vampire or Zombie?
He already has the mana to cast Nighthawk, and there's no counter magic.
Okay, so Zombie it is. So now he can
gives
cast
himself Messenger in case he draws it.
Oh, he named Dragon.
Dragon?
Is there an Archwing Dragon floating around in these things?
There are we talking
Thundermaw
Hellkites.
Some Thundermaw Hellkites. He did need the 2nd red source for it. And it looks like Will just dumps his entire hand. He dumps a Diagraph Ghoul and 2 Gravecrawlers onto the battlefield. And Tyler Lytle shakes his hand. He's like, I just need more lands. He puts his hand on his head. He can feel the trash talk coming down. He has. Okay, so that's a good start. And now he's got to decide what he wants to do here. This is kind of like a game of chicken, right? Who's going to put the brakes on first? Because right now, Tyler can block with all 3 of his creatures. Unfortunately, blocking Gravecrawlers doesn't usually get you very far.
Yeah, so if he attacks with everybody, he puts Will down to 8.
Uh-huh.
He can survive the swing back even if there's an Aristocrat.
Yes, even if there's an Aristocrat.
And then he has Searing Spear, so then he can lethal him with his attack next turn. So Tyler,
who has the Searing Spear?
Tyler does.
Okay.
Tyler is Nighthawk Searing Spear. So I think Tyler's winning right now. It's really close though.
Okay.
I think Tyler just has to send with everybody.
He shifts with everybody and then just plays Nighthawk?
I think you send with everybody, and yeah, you guys just play Nighthawk.
Yeah. I mean that's a sweet blocker.
Yeah.
Basically negating 2 cards there. Now Will Craddock is now down to 8 life. With Tyler on 14, and Will really needs to come up with a big play this turn. He does have a land, so he's got all of his colors available to him, and he is surveying the scene. Neither of these guys wants to lose this match. I mean, that goes without saying normally, but when you're playing against your best friend on camera for undefeated in day one of a GP, you really don't want to lose the match. Also, you have to ride all the way back with him, you know?
Imagine if they drew.
So they just decided to draw. Yeah. Now, this is all fun and games, though, for these guys, because they're both in a really good position here in this tournament. They seem to have picked. Okay, we're battling, so he's gonna attack with 2 grave crawlers, which does nothing but put a grave crawler in the graveyard. It does enable Morbid, if that's something that is relevant. No, it also just gets 2 damage so that the pillar can actually finish off the Nighthawk. And it looks like he just replays the grave crawler. Will has left back both of his Diregraph Ghouls.
I think Tyler just sends with his team again.
I do see the Thundermaw Hellkite in his hand. He's just going to ship the team, and Will says, all right, we're blocking 2 guys, and another Nighthawk for Tyler Lytle is looking pretty good here. But he's got, nope, just another Gravecrawler. These are not what Will wants. He wants his big spells here. Is this a land? No, it's not. He's going to attack for 4, and he's going to Searing Spear you, and he extends the hand. Tyler Lytle takes down Will Craddock to be one of only 2 players undefeated here on day 1 in San Antonio. Will Craddock, I feel sorry for you, man.
Oh man,
his life total is 0-0.